PEC Zwolle is a Dutch football club based in Zwolle, currently playing in the Eredivisie, the country's highest level of professional club football. They have played in the Eredivisie for a total of 15 seasons, reaching 6th place in 2015. They won the KNVB Cup in 2014 and also reached a final in 1928, 1977 and 2015. This is the second incarnation of the club. Its predecessor of the same name went bankrupt in 1990. The current club was founded immediately afterwards as FC Zwolle before renaming back to PEC Zwolle in 2012. History Introduction PEC was founded on June 12, 1910, the name being an abbreviation of PHEDN Combinity. The club was formed by a merger of Prins Hendrik and Endese Spiraat Nimmer. PEC has been a professional football club since February 23, 1955. The club name was changed to PEC Zwolle in 1971 and to PEC Zwolle 82 in 1982. Instantly after the bankruptcy, a new name was chosen for the new club, FC Zwolle. PEC was one of Zwolle's three top football clubs, along with ZAC and Zwolse Boys. ZAC was associated with the local high society, Zwolse Boys were associated with the working class, while PEC was the club of the local middle class. There was considerable rivalry between these three clubs, especially between Zwolse Boys and PEC. Not only were their stadiums on walking distance from each other, the clubs frequently met each other in league matches. PEC Zwolle Despite this rivalry, PEC and Zwolse Boys merged in 1969, taking the name PEC. In 1971, this became PEC Zwolle, in an attempt to promote the image of the city of Zwolle. In 1977, PEC Zwolle reached the finals of the KNVB Cup, losing to FC Twente in extra time, and missed out on promotion to the Eredivisie by 1 point. In 1978, the club won the Dutch First Division title and was promoted to the Eredivisie for the first time in its history. In its first season in the Eredivisie, the club finished 8th, which remained PEC Zwolle's highest ever league position until finishing 6th in 2014-15 season. Their most impressive result that season was a 0-1 away victory at PSV Eindhoven. These results were achieved by a talented group of players bought from other clubs, such as Rinus Israel. The money for this came from the Slavenbergs Bank, which was led by FC Zwolle chairman Jan Willem van der Waal. By 1982, the club had built up a debt of 6 million guilders and was on the verge of bankruptcy. PEC Zwolle 82 Real estate developer Martin Brink took over power in PEC Zwolle in 1982. He managed to end the debt and restructured the club, which was epitomized by a change in the name, PEC Zwolle 82. He also had the club's stadium renovated and decided to name the stadium's main stand the Johan Cruyff Stand, because Johan Cruyff had played his last official match against PEC Zwolle 82 on May 13, 1984. Brink brought legendary players like Piet Shrivers, Johnny Rep and Cees van Kooten to the club. The club managed to revive, but the revival was short-lived. In 1985, PEC Zwolle 82 were relegated to the Dutch First Division, largely due to an injury-ridden main squad. They managed to return after only one season, having finished in second place. That team was led by the coach Co Adriaans and the player Foukeboek. Brink, however, grew increasingly disappointed in sponsors and local authorities, accusing them of not loving the club in the way that he did, and he left the club in 1988. Despite a promising start to the 1988 Euro 89 season, the club finished in 16th place, which meant that it was relegated to the First Division. The financial crisis worsened, as sponsors refused to invest in the club any longer. The players' wages could not be paid, and a debt to the Slavenbergs Bank appeared which had been overseen by the board for around 10 years. This led to the club's bankruptcy in March 1990. FC Zwolle After the bankruptcy, it was decided that the club had to sever all ties with the troubled finances of the past and make a fresh start. The club got a new name, a new organizational structure, new sponsors, new club colors and a new crest. The first years of the new club were hard, but after 1992 a Euro 93, a new team filled with talents such as Jaap Stam, Bert Konteman, Johan Hansma and Henri van der Vecht played attractive and successful football. In 1992 a Euro 93, FC Zwolle narrowly missed promotion to the Eredivisie. In the KNVB Cup, FC Zwolle reached the quarter-finals, losing to Feyenoord in a penalty shootout. After many failed attempts in the playoffs, FC Zwolle finally managed to secure a return to the Eredivisie by winning the First Division in 2002. In the 2002 Euro 03 Eredivisie season, the club finished in 16th place and escaped relegation via the playoffs. A year later, they made a miserable start to the season, and had scored only 7 points halfway through the season. An impressive run, with victories over the likes of SC Heerenveen and AZ, proved in vain, as FC Zwolle dropped from a 16th place to the 18th place on the last day of the season. They lost 7-1 away at Feyenoord, while their rivals Vitesse and FC Volendam managed to beat their opponents FC Utrecht and RBC Roosendaal. At the beginning of the 2004 Euro 05 season, FC Zwolle was considered one of the favourites for the title in the First Division, along with Sparta. However, it was another club from the province of Overijssel, Heracles Almelo, that won the title. FC Zwolle finished the season in 4th place, and had to play play-off matches against the 2nd and 6th placed teams of the First Division and the 17th placed team of the Eredivisie, De Graafschap. They finished bottom of their group, with 1 point from 6 matches, while Sparta won the group and clinched promotion and De Graafschap was relegated. The 2005 Euro 06 season started well, with FC Zwolle fighting for the league's top spot in the first months. However, the results dwindled in November and December. Angry supporters threatened trainer-coach Henny Spijkerman after a 0 Euro 5 home defeat against Excelsior, and Spijkerman resigned a few days later. The club's chairman announced that he would crack down on the supporters involved, and said that some had already received stadium bans of up to 9 years. Spijkerman's assistant trainer Harry Sint-Graven finished the season, leading the club to the playoffs, in which Eredivisie side Willem II proved too strong. Former Feyenoord and Ajax player Jan Evers, who had already trained the club between 1996 and 1999, was presented as the new trainer-coach. He was faced with financial problems at the club, and the departure of key striker Santi Koch. Many players from the club's youth teams were brought into the main squad, with mixed results. The team ended at the 9th place of the table during the 2006 Euro 07 season. During the 2010 Euro 11 season FC Zwolle held the top spot for a long time, but had to leave the title to AKC Woolwich. Zwolle ended in 2nd place and didn't achieve promotion. The 2011 Euro 12 season was more successful. FC Zwolle won the title and secured their return to the Eredivisie in the 2012 Euro 13 season. Back to PEC Zwolle and Dutch Cup triumph. Shortly after winning the championship of the Eredivisie, the club announced that the name will be changed to PEC Zwolle again. In 2014, under the guidance of new head coach Ron Jans, PEC Zwolle earned their first major silverware by winning the KNVB Cup, beating league champions Ajax 5-1 in the final. Thus, PEC Zwolle qualified for the UEFA Europa League for the first time. On August 3, 2014, PEC Zwolle also won the 2014 Johan Cruijffschaal by defeating AFC Ajax once again, this time by 1-0. Stadiums. Oostring Stadion. The old stadium was built in 1934 and demolished in 2007. It was located at Business Park Oostering. Since the completion in 1934, 2 different clubs played in the stadium. PEC from 1934 till 1957, Zwolle Boys from 1957 till 1970. Since 1970 PEC played its games at the Oostering Stadium. The stadium had to be demolished because the new stadium is located at the same spot as the Oostering Stadium is. PEC Zwolle Stadion. Officially since August 29, 2009 the stadium no longer in construction. Construction started at March 9, 2007. The first game in the new stadium was against MVV. The final score was 0-0. The first goal in the new stadium was made by FC Zwolle player Bram van Polen. It was scored on August 22, 2008 against SC Cambuur. Zwolle Delta Stadion =. On July 12, 2012 the club officially announced the new name for their home ground, which is now called Zwolle Delta Stadion. Rivalries. PEC Zwolle biggest rival is Go Ahead Eagles. Both clubs are located at the river IJSSEL, hence the name IJSSEL Derby. In the early years Go Ahead was the best club in the region, but since the relegation to the Dutch First Division in 1987, Zwolle has won most derbies. PEC Zwolle in the Eredivisie, Euro is FC Zwolle. Domestic results. Below is a table with FC Zwolle's domestic results since the introduction of professional football in 1956. FC Zwolle made it to the final round of the National Cup 3 times. They lost the first 2 of these matches, but won in 2014. The first was in 1928 against RHC Heemstede. The final score was 2-0. The second time they made it to the final was in 1977. The opponent at the time was FC Twente. They lost 3-0 this time. The third time was in 2014, when they beat Ajax 5-1, subsequently claiming the cup for Zwolle for the first time in their history. European record. Honours. Statistics. Dutch First Division Euro champions in 1978, 2002 and 2012. KNVB Cup Euro champion in 2014, runner-up in 1928, 1977 and 2015. Johan Cruijff Shield, champion in 2014. Biggest victory Euro PEC vs De Velgate Euro 0. Biggest Eredivisie victory Euro FC Zwolle vs FC Omniworld 7 Euro 2. Biggest Eredivisie victory Euro PEC Zwolle vs ADO Den Haag 6 Euro 1. Biggest defeat Euro Leeuwarden vs PEC 9 Euro 0. Fortuna Sittard vs PEC 9 Euro 0. Record attendance Euro PEC vs Ajax and PEC vs Feyenoord, 1982 Euro 83, 14,000 spectators. Numbers. Current squad, as of July 25, 2015. For recent transfers, see List of Dutch football transfers summer 2015. Note, flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Lists. Top scorers managers chairman See also, 2012 Euro 13 Eredivisie, PEC Zwolle, list of football clubs in the Netherlands. References, Tony van Ringelestich and Joël Groeneveld. Betaald voetbal in Zwolle van 1980 tot 1999. Ban PEC naar FC Zwolle. Retrieved March 17, 2007. ZAC was een chic club van welgestelden. Zwolsboys was de arbeidersclub en het vooral en de WIJK Zug supporters. PEC was de club van de Zwolle middenstand. Van FC naar PEC Zwolle. FC Zwolle. Retrieved April 21, 2013. http www.espn.fc.com United 14256. CC = 5739, Nia Korma PEC Zwolle veranderd naar Club Naam van Thwashaven. Voetbals NL. Retrieved April 21, 2013. FC Zwolle Stadion Zwolle Delta Stadion PEC Zwolle. Petchwell NL. Retrieved April 21, 2013. Tony van Ringelestich and Joël Groeneveld. Betaald voetbal in Zwolle van 1980 tot 1999. Ban PEC naar FC Zwolle. Retrieved March 17, 2007. FC Zwolle Euro Go Ahead Eagles rivalry. Mac Pamuel PAOK UK Postup du Skupani, Novatot Rapid Skuna Eel, ProFootball SK, retrieved August 28, 2014. External links, Dutch, official website, FC Zwolle at wereldvoetballerkiv.com, Dutch, supporters website, Dutch. FC Zwolle Business Club,